activity, right?
Yeah, but I'm afraid it's just the first of four
Yeah.
races in a row we're gonna have.
Stay tuned, more to come,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think, we were just talking about, last night. Well, first of all, let me thank our sponsors, and then we're going to discuss about last night. I want to thank our sponsors: Meadowview Healthcare Center, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Americans for Prosperity, Mama Rosa's, Fox Pearly Wealth Management, Dr. Mindy Gunn, Dr. Blackside Associates, Marshall Monuments down there, and McAllister Land Consulting, First Harrison Bank, and Louisville Bats and Snack Medical Center. Thank you to our great sponsors. And we do have another great sponsor here with us today. We have Glenn Luckett with the Salem Speedway, getting ready for racing. We're going to talk all about that. It's going to be fun and definitely going to keep your mind off the storms. Maybe unless you're a storm chaser, right? But let's talk about this. The storm, when it was crazy how fast that warning happened.
Yes.
We were sitting here, when you start watching things around the kind of the rule of thumb is start watching things around Jasper and see what's going on. And when you see those lines coming towards this way, you kind of got to get ready. But man, it just like was upon us, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. I'm kind of a meteorologist, I guess.
Oh, let's hear it.
By the business, because that's what I've, for 30 years I've had to watch the weather for business and racing. But,
sure.
I'm kind of a weather nut, and of course, Christy, she's in the closet when the sirens are going off, and she's yelling at me to get in the closet, and I'm at the window watching outside.
The voice of reason. Christy that's the reason Glenn Luckett that you her life, because of Christy. Okay.
That's right. But no, it's scary. It seems like the pattern has gotten to where we don't get like just normal weather anymore. We get extremes. So it's getting kind of crazy. And of course now we announced it yesterday that we've had to postpone our first race, which was going to be this weekend, just because of so much rain that's coming in and the temperature's going to change. But we got really lucky last year. Last year we didn't have a single rain out. So we were blessed to get one season in without having to move a single race. So just having to move this one on the weekends, not that big a deal. It is to some people because I'm sure people had stuff planned and stuff. But when it rains 6 to 8 inches, it's going to be a swamp out there. So,
definitely.
Yep.
And I think that they'll have a much more enjoyable time if they just postpone and wait, because nobody likes that flooding there.
Well, plus it's going to temperature on Sunday. Now they're saying 47 with a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind. So that's 47 would probably be about 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it'd be miserable for people. Don't want to come out and watch the race in that kind of weather.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, I think going back to last night, but Glenn, since you are, talking about how weather's been very important to you and you follow it quite a bit, I think, have we not come such a long way? Like from years ago, like I always say this because it's just crazy how much, I guess, progress we have made, because, the National Weather Service, hats off to them. They had us on a call yesterday afternoon. They were just like completely, making sure people stay informed and this kind of stuff. You just don't mess with it.
Right.
You don't know. And
it's pretty amazing how, technology.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. They were predicting this, 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
They were, had the circles on the map.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much exactly where it hits, where they said it was going to hit. So
yeah, exactly. And if for some reason, it didn't hit the areas that possibly, that's okay. You still were prepared. Worst case scenario, you were prepared. There's nothing, and it's so good. And I'm anxious to find out, they have the strong winds too, but also I'm anxious to see if there was actually a tornado that touched down, because we had some, I know right here in Salem on Main Street, one of the big trees, had gone down, and hats off to everyone. They were fantastic at getting that cut up and getting it moved to the side so that Main Street could be open should there be emergency or something, And then on another street, just actually east of that area, I need to get it right. I'm a little tired. I don't want to get it wrong. Was a tree, a completely big, huge pine tree was completely uprooted. So that's quite a bit of.
And that's what they say. What's going to happen now is we're going to get so much rain, and if we get some more storms, the ground's going to be so wet that it could make even that possibility worse.
Yeah.
The trees coming down, that kind of stuff. Of course, we've got billboards and light poles and all that stuff out the track. I have not been out to the track yet this morning, but I'm hoping that it wasn't strong enough to tear up anything. The first year we had it in 23, we had 3 storms that came through, and the first one was before the season started, and it took out a light pole and about 3 billboards.
Oh.
Then we had another storm in the summertime. It took out 4 more billboards. But these billboards had been there for a while, so it was something. I'm sure the wood just wasn't as good as it used to be. So then we had the tornado in August that did more damage out there, and of course damage all over the city. But I mean, last year we were pretty lucky; we didn't have any. But it's just so open out there. There's always wind blowing. So, and those billboards all face the west, so it's usually where the wind comes from. So we'll have to see. But I'm hoping we don't have much out there. We really didn't put out any garbage cans and all that kind of stuff. It's going to fly around. And
Good. That was smart. Yeah.
But I'm sure there'll be some stuff to clean up out there.
I would say the golf course will be having some of your trash cans. No, it's smart not to put them out yet.
Yes.
Especially like you said, we had some, I guess, prep time to kind of know that this is something's brewing.
Right.
And of course, I think the temperature stayed to it was almost 80 degrees
Right. Yeah,
last night.
You could
Wouldn't
tell
it?
when I went outside to take the dogs out about 10. I was like, man, it's way too warm.
Yeah,
So
something's not right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now, could you tell a difference in the dogs? Were they a little bit? Did they?
Uh,
Because I think they sense that.
Molly
Mine-
does. Our female lab, she does.
Well, of course the female.
Yeah, she can sense it. She's a little uneasy. She's not big on storms. She hates fireworks.
Oh,
So anything like that. Otis is real laid back. He doesn't care.
love that. Love
He
it. Well, they
doesn't
complement each other, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think, because I know mine were a little bit. I could tell a difference in mine, or I felt like that. Maybe they were just taking advantage of me, but I felt like they were a little bit more nervous or just kind of antsy, I guess, if you will. But I knew whenever it just kept, the wind started, and then when we started getting the rain, and then it was upon us, just So of course, kind of when they say a tornado, watches conditions could be, conditions are just right, but a warning is actually when possibly one's been spotted, but they also have to confirm those.
Right.
So that's where I think a lot of people just was there, you have to wait for the officials to confirm of what it was.
Right.
And that's where I'm not an official on that, but I know that there was either some strong winds or something happened last night.
I'm sure the National Weather Service guys are going to be busy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm sure they're going all different directions. And of course, we know Jackson County had a lot of trees that were down. They had some roads that were blocked. Also, South Boston did have some areas that were blocked, or I guess blocked off. They got those all taken care of, and some were without electricity too.
So they showed a map this morning of on Facebook in Indiana. There was quite a lot of people without electricity. And it's kind of funny. That's when they were tracking not this storm, but the storm before. That's how they could assess where some of the bigger damage was by the numbers that were coming up with people without electricity. And I never thought about that before. I was like, well, yeah, that probably shows where the telephone poles and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. That keeps them kind of on it. I think it was a lot of debris, and was there, and they did a fantastic job by cleaning it up. But and then I lost two of my fish died in my fish tank. Well, no electricity.
Oh.
So it was kind of a rough night. I know, just a fish, Becky. I know, but still, yeah,
it's a pet.
You feed it, yeah. Also, hats off to our Glenn. We're very blessed in our community, and talking about the different businesses and what goes on. But we've got a beautiful Salem School Corporation has got 3 safe rooms, and last night they opened up the middle school, and I almost cried because when Kent, he is the head custodian there at Salem Community Schools, said that we had over 120 folks that used the safe room.
That's great to have a place like that.
Isn't that a blessing?
Because there's just too many people, of course, not, some of the housing or the trailers and that kind of stuff is, you don't want to be in those things when there's tornadoes.
Right.
Definitely. So it gives those people a place to go and something to do. And I think that's awesome that they've done that.
Well, and we talked earlier in the week, we're going to get, I just want to give this weather. We talked earlier in the week that a lot of times the reason that trailer parks and trailer communities get hit so hard is they're on the outskirts of the community. And that's right where a lot of the tornado action would hit or go. So that's kind of a rule of thumb on that. But it's so nice that we have such a facility and what to utilize it. I know somewhere at Walmart, and we have to remember Walmart closes. They revamp. They close now. They're not 24 hours because they use that time to restock the shelves and do what they need to do. So that makes sense. And so I hope that from now on, those maybe remember and learn to try to go to the Salem School Corporate, Salem
Sure.
School. So
They did a really nice job of posting it.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, so hats off to them. So we did survive, and what a blessing. And hats off. I hope everyone's okay out there. And then not to mention our police, city, county, and state, we're all out doing fantastic. All right, we're on to the third day of. Did you get any April Fools, Glenn?
No, I think I got maybe one I listened to on the radio from you guys in the polka.
So
it kind of made me stop in my
Did you
tracks.
wonder if we're going to switch to
I
polka?
was like, that's
Yeah.
gotta be it. That's gotta
So
be it.
yeah, so then we thought that we'd come out to the Salem Speedway and do a polka. Right?
Right.
Today is American Circus Day. Glenn, you like a good circus?
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite part of the circus?
Elephants.
Oh, love them.
Yeah.
I love them too. Yeah. I actually got to ride one, and there's kind of hard to ride, but he blew his what is that called, his trunk.
Mhm.
He blew it out on me. They said that was a compliment. So if you I don't know if they were just trying to be nice and say that or what, but yeah. Let's see here. This is also Find a Rainbow Day. Might be able to find that.
Yep. Yep.
Fish fingers and custard day. Do you like fish fingers?
Yeah. I'm not a custard fan.
Yeah, okay. Well, we can have the fish fingers. Good People Day. Don't we need to focus on good people?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Those are getting harder and harder to find.
I know. We got to really focus on those good people. National Burrito Day. You like burritos, Glenn?
Oh yeah, I love burritos.
Oh, how can you not, right? Good burrito. National Chocolate Mousse Day.
I like chocolate, not a huge mousse fan.
Okay. National Don't Go to Work Unless It's Fun Day. No, we can't do that, right? That's not doable. National Film Score Day. All right. Pony Express Day.
Very good.
Love that. Tweed Day. You got a tweed jacket? Or?
No. I'm not a tweed person.
Okay. Weed Out Hate, Sow the Seeds of Greatness Day. I love that. That's exactly what we need to be doing. World Party Day. I'm getting a lot of parties here going on. So those are some holidays in the early April 3rd. So get out and celebrate and enjoy. All right, Glenn, let's talk about, let's go back. I'm going to kind of go back and do a little bit. Let's go back to, I want to hear, I'm going to be all over the page here this morning. Let's go back to last year and the season and tell us a little bit about it. And because actually we had a very successful season last year.
Yes, we did. It was a good season. I talked earlier, we were blessed that we had really no weather issues last year. So that's pretty rare for that to happen to go through the whole year. But it was a good year. I mean, we had some good races. One of the big highlights was bringing back the Joe James Pat O'Connor sprint car race and the 500 sprint tour. That meant a lot. That was one of Nick's goals when he bought the racetrack, was to get open wheel racing back at Salem. I mean, Salem has been famous for open wheel since it opened. I mean, that's the first race they ever had was open wheel, and all those, AJ Foyt, Mario Andretti, all those guys from way back when raced there. So we wanted to bring that back. We did, and it was a successful event. I mean, the biggest event of the year was the Halloween 200. It's just amazing how big that it's gotten. I think we had over 248 cars, race cars on the property.
That's huge.
We knew it was coming, so me and Daryl Brown, Daryl works out there, helps us, and we marked off parking spots in the grass. Every place we could find inside the racetrack that had grass, we were marking off spots so we could tell them exactly where to park so we could fit them all in there. But it was a big weekend. I mean, it's just so many people, so many campers. It is over 300 something campers out there.
Love that.
So that's always it's a good way to to wind the season down and have a big race. This year will be the 37th annual. It's hard to believe that race has been going on for 37 years. So that was a big one. I mean, 4th of July weekend's always a good weekend. It's just become kind of it's a tradition. I mean, and that's the way some of the better racetracks like Eldora and some of these tracks, they've built traditions, and part of it is trying to keep those races on the same schedule and keep them going.
Right.
But I will say this, last year, because of the Olympics, NBC made NASCAR juggle their schedule around, which what happened was our ARCA race, which has been traditionally in September, got moved to July. July 27th. Bob Sargent, Track Enterprises, actually leases a track and does that event. He was a little worried about just moving it, and actually had a great crowd. We were surprised, had a good crowd that came out and watched the race. Again, I mean, the ARCA race is just Very, very popular. I mean, it's been so many years. This year will be the 111th time that they've raced at Salem Speedway, which is the most races that series has ever raced at any racetrack.
Ah,
So we're kind of honored to have that prestige within their series.
we need chocolate. We need to celebrate.
But I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, that's
It
the
is a big
biggest
deal.
event. I mean, it's nationally televised on Fox Sports.
Yeah.
So they bring the TV crews in and everything and pump it up, and it's a neat deal. ARCA's really NASCAR bought ARCA out about 5 years ago, so I think it's actually helped them. I mean, it's kind of gotten a lot more prestige. The TV ratings have gone way up, but it helps us when we're selling billboards and that kind of stuff. So
Sure.
it's been a good thing for the racetrack. Ron Drager still runs it. His grandfather actually started the series, and he's been president for several years. And when they sold it, I think he had a timeline, but he's already passed that timeline. He enjoys working, doing that, so he's really good to work with. So we enjoy having those guys out there. But our local divisions, Crown Vics, amazingly have been the savior to short track racing. I mean,
People love a good Crown Vic, right?
Who would have ever thought? But,
I know.
I mean, there is no such thing as cheap racing, but that's about as economical as you can get a Crown Vic. They're very forgiving. The way the rules are, they really can't do a whole lot to the engines and stuff. So it's pretty much the driver is what determines that. So, we averaged over 30 of those on the big track races last year, which is amazing. Those guys did a great job. We doubled probably what we averaged on the short track. Got a lot of those guys on the short track that we run. The Legends really kicked in. We had a good season of Legends. We used to average probably about 10 cars a show. We got that up probably to 18 last year, almost double what we had. So that's always good to have that. And it's good to have the touring series come in. I mean, we have CRA comes in. We do a cold street stock race with them. This year will be the Firecracker again. And those guys, we're good to work with those. And late model sportsmen, they'll bring their late model sportsmen again. We'll actually be there in June. And then we brought back the Vors Tour, which is a compact touring series. They've been around for about 12 years. They always have a good car count. So they had a good car count last year, and they're coming back again on June 7th this year. So we had some good racing, good fans, good support. I can't say enough about the support that we get locally. Sponsors, people that step up and help us do a lot out the racetrack, get the word out. I mean, if it wasn't for people like you and the people that share things on Facebook for us, all that kind of stuff helps us get the word out. I mean, it means a lot. It's this day and age, it's really hard to figure out how to market yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, absolutely. It's so expensive to go into the Louisville market and that kind of stuff. So we rely upon that. We kind of do some things the old-fashioned way. We have these schedules that we print up, and me and Christy about 2 months ago went out and delivered those all the way from Jasper all the way through Austin and Scottsburg.
Love that.
And go to every C-store, every liquor store, and just trying to get the word out. It's a more economical way to try to market yourself, I guess. So, but it's tough. I look back at pictures back when that racetrack first opened and in the 60s and stuff, and just amazed how many people. I mean, it was nothing to have 6, 7, 8,000 people at that racetrack, just packed. And there's so much more to do today. It's just so hard to get people there. But we feel like we have a niche. We feel like we have a special track that's I talk about armchair NASCAR fans. I watch NASCAR, but it's like if you could get them out of the chair and get them to the racetrack and they could actually physically see a race and be part of it, I think people would come out to short track racing more often if they would do that. So, but it's hard to convince people to do that. But you just got to make it a special event, make it to where it's worth people to come out and see what you got. So that's our challenge.
Well, there's nothing like the thrill of it. When you're there and you see those cars, and they're driving it like they stole it, and watching. I love to watch the pit crews too. I love to watch them and work all their magic. But let's go back on some of the history of the Speedway, because it's been such a jewel for our community. I think that's why it's so special to all of us.
Well, I mean, I've traveled a lot of places. I've only been in Salem for 32 years now, but you would go places and I would wear a Salem Speedway T-shirt, and people would be, I know that. And a lot of it goes back to, like I said, with Mario Andretti and Jeff Gordon, it used to be that those guys would go race Indianapolis, and then the next weekend they would come down here and run a sprint car race.
I love that.
I mean, just amazing the names that that have gone through those and go through. And we had a T-shirt made last year. Megan's going to have one this year where we're doing pictures. It's like a black and white pictures of some of the racers that used to race there.
That's cool.
And it's, and they believe and they love the history of the track, and and I've always been a history buff, and to me it's kind of an honor sometimes just to walk into the place and walk out to the people that have been at that racetrack and race there. So it means a lot. We do a lot. We try to promote the history as much as we can. We try to get people to come out there and really see what's part of it. It's been a while since some of the stuff's been there. She's old. We got to keep her up, and it's not a cheap process. I mean, Nick has put a lot of money into that track the last 3 years, so to try to keep her going. But it's to him, he sees it's worth it mostly just because of the history and to keep it going, so, which is great.
Huge respect. I mean, for it. Let's go back and you think about like back when it first opened. And you think of the building of it, the high banks. I mean, those were that was like very unique, correct? I mean,
they kind of modeled the Winchester Speedway when Winchester, Indiana was actually built. It's one of the old. It's almost actually older than Indy in some ways. It's built in 1915, and that's when they built. Frank Funk built it, and people, they realized how good a racing it was, so they decided that we needed one down here. So they talked to Frank, and he helped kind of put in some word for it. There was actually 3 because Salem was built in 47. They also built a track in Dayton, Ohio. So they were called, the 3 high bank tracks. That was kind of a big deal to go around. Unfortunately, Dayton didn't last a long time. Winchester is still there, still up in Indiana. And it's pretty amazing, the history between the 2 tracks. But, it's to take and do what they did. I mean, it was built for speed. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's what it was built for because of the high banks and stuff. If you have a flat track, it's not going to be as fast. I mean, that's just the way it is. Yeah. To take people around. A good example. Yesterday, the Coke guys came out, and, getting our machines ready and stuff, and they're all looking at the track, and I'm like, "Do you guys want to go for a ride?" And their eyes get all big. And I was like, climbing the pace truck, and I'll take you for a lap. And we're probably going 45 or 50, and they think it's the greatest thing in the world. And I'm like, do you realize a sprint car when they're here, they go 130 miles an hour, which is twice as fast as what we were going. And they're just like, wow. But that's, it's neat. And I love doing that. I love taking people out there and just, showing them what it's like and stopping in the middle of the bank. That's the thing. You go out and you stop right there, and they realize, like, wow, are we going to roll over? I'm like, no, we're not going to roll over.
No, but that would be my fear. I would be, don't stop.
Right,
yeah.
Right. But that's what makes it so unique. I mean, amongst the racetracks. I mean, you can go anywhere in the country, and you're not going to find, tracks like Salem and Winchester. I mean, there's a lot of history between those 2 tracks. But then again, it makes it tough too because not everybody's built to race in Salem. So I told Nick, if we have 50 racers that come, 25 of those are going to love it. 25 of those are not going to love it. Some people will come back, some people won't, and that's one of the reasons why Owen built the short track in the middle of the track. And so now there's an opportunity to get both those racers there, and some different events and stuff. I will admit though, I miss Seanfield. So does Christy. I mean, when we were there before, it was always so neat to have so many people in there. So.
Oh yeah, because you were very much involved years ago, and then you had a little bit of a break, and then back by popular demand, and
a 23-year break.
23-year break, wandering in the wilderness, right? Looking and but I was so happy to hear you were back because I think you're perfect for the job, and they got the right man, that is for sure, and the love of racing. Let's go back on some of the so the track actually itself is original. It just there has been some like you said,
it's not the same
tweaking. Well,
if you go far enough, you can actually find places where it probably is.
You want to chip away, but
it was built in 47, and it was originally built as there's a lot of controversy. That's probably not the right word, but some people say
a lot of I like this.
It was dirt. People that I've gotten the articles that I've seen, it was originally a cinder track.
Cinder?
Oh
my gosh.
Which did not work very well.
No.
As you can imagine.
I spin out.
Sitting in the bleachers, and you got these little cinders coming up and stuff.
Ow.
So a lot of people said they thought it was dirt, but I found an article that a gentleman sent me from the local newspaper. It was in June of 1947, or I think it was July. But they actually went ahead and paved it later that season. Of course, paving back then was a lot different than the paving is right now.
Sure.
So it still looked almost like a dirt track if you just didn't look right.
Right.
But they just decided that that's what they needed to do, Of course, back when they first opened it, they had a little 6-inch concrete block wall at the top. And the only reason why they put it there was so the racers knew where the end of the racetrack was.
Oh, wow.
So, and those guys, of course, would go out and race with no roll cage, no seat belts at that time and stuff.
Boy,
it's
thrill
amazing.
seekers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys were either very brave or very, very dumb. So, but back then the theory was that you wanted to fly out of the race car if it flew off the racetrack. You did not want to be in the race car.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's amazing how obviously, several people lost their lives at that racetrack, which is a sad thing. But the technology and even the safety at our level now that we make the guys, they have to wear a Hans device, they have to wear, of course, the uniform, full face helmet, all that kind of stuff. So we try to keep them as safe as we can, in the race car, just because of the speed when they get at their racetrack.
I think it, we've learned now. I don't think back then necessarily, back in 47 or 48, I don't think they were thinking of all the things that could go wrong.
Right.
They had the love for can you imagine on opening day? I mean, watching like for the community, like the whole time it's being built, how exciting that was. And then, what everybody, you had the unknown, everybody's trying to figure out what it's going to look like. And then when you have opening day, can you imagine being there? That would be a blast from the past, wouldn't it?
The stories that I heard, they were expecting about 2,000 people maybe. And I think they ended up with 5,000 or 6,000 people.
Love
first
that.
day. I can't imagine
sitting
there thinking, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That many people.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've seen pictures for the infield. I mean, it literally looked like there's 3,000 or 4,000 people in that infield, just packed.
Yeah.
As many people as they could get in. We've got a great picture in the lobby when you come in the office from 1960. It's an aerial shot, taken from an airplane, and it was a USAC sprint car race. And the cars, I mean, the parking lot's full. There's cars all up and down the road on both sides as far as you can see, and the place was packed. So it wasn't very long after they built the track in 47 that they added bleachers on pretty quick because they saw that we don't have enough room. We got to get more bleachers. But they had the infield, which was always a good fallback for them. So,
yeah.
But I think at that time there were so many racetracks. I mean, there was Mitchell had a racetrack. All these different cities had one around, but there wasn't another Salem in this area. So that always, I think that the allure of racing at Salem was always a lot of the short track guys' dreams. We go to race Salem because Salem was the big track to them. That was the big daddy to go race that track. So I think that's what helped, and it got the reputation. And AJ Foyt was one of the first ones to say this: if you can win races at Salem, you can win races anywhere.
Oh, I love that.
So that's, I think that kind of reputation obviously helped the racetrack too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I got to talk with him, and I told him I was from Salem, and he knew all about the track.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So
we tried to get him back last year as a Grand Marshal, but he said he just doesn't leave Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, he's up in his upper 80s, I think.
Yeah.
Now. So I understand that, and we tried to get some other people. I mean, it's hard. Those guys are also tied up. We tried Tony Stewart, but now Tony's drag racing. So we just couldn't get him there. But it's hard to get those guys, and so many of them. Mario Andretti was another one we talked to, and tried to get them out there. So our goal was to try to get somebody else back there if we can this year, either for the Joe James race as well. We really want them back, but we also have some Silver Crown coming back this year. So we're hoping we can get somebody out there to be a Grand Marshal.
Love that. Well, and like you said, everybody's got so much going on. Everybody's so busy, and it's hard to get people's time. I get that. Yeah.
Oh,
so go back in 47. I'm not done with 47. I love history. I love going back. I love storytelling. What kind of cars would we have had back then? What would we like? Kind of give the visual. What would we?
I mean, it was the midget. They did like midgets and sprint cars. They called them big cars back then. AAA came around about that time.
I thought midgets were smaller. Okay.
Yeah, a little smaller car, but still fast.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can imagine.
Don't they make the noise?
It's just, well, they have the exhaust has changed off and on. That's always made the noise a little bit. But that's what they raced by. And back then, that's all they would bring in. I mean, they would have the sprint cars there. They would have like 3 or 4 heat races. A B main. They have the A main. That was it. Now we have 5 or 6 divisions racing, trying to get people and build the event. But back then, it was all about the drivers. It was all about seeing AJ Foyt. Seeing Mario Andretti, seeing the guys. I know there's guys that were older. That, of course, they weren't even racing in 47, but there's a lot of local people that raced at that time, different areas. I mean, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, all that whole area. Those drivers would come down there and do that. So No, like I said, no roll cage, no seat belts. We've got some pictures. We've been lucky. We didn't get a lot of history with the track when we purchased the racetrack. Didn't get a lot of old stuff, but we've had a lot of people just want to give us stuff. They send us
Sure.
pictures. They send us history. Today is Throwback Thursday, and every Thursday I post some type of history on our Facebook page. And we've got some great people that send me great
Yeah.
pictures. They do research. I don't have the time to do the research they do, but it's amazing some of the stuff they find and stuff, and pictures and stuff.
So can you let it out, or is it a surprise? What will we Throwback Thursday today?
Today is actually going to be an article from Mitchell Tribune in 1948.
Oh, that's cool.
It's kind of a preview of an open wheel race that year. And it's pretty neat to see some of the stuff. I haven't read the full article yet, but that's what it's going to be. I mean, I kind of alternate back and forth between open wheel and stock cars, and some of them are about the facility and different things that have changed at the facility. One of the most interesting things we did with the bridge, we posted that. A lot of people know the story. A lot of people don't know the story. That they took the bridge down, and now it's behind the baseball field.
Tell a story, please. Tell us. I love a good story, Glenn. Go ahead.
Well, they took the bridge was there for years.
And where was it?
It was in turn 4, right there with the gate.
A bridge was on turn 4.
Yeah,
Okay.
to go to the infield.
Okay.
But they actually they didn't really have an inside wall or anything at that time. So a couple of guys actually spun and hit it, and they almost knocked it down. So they decided to take it out. So they took it out and actually shipped it. I can't remember the exact year, but they actually put it back there. But it's behind the baseball field there. It goes over the creek.
You know how many times we've walked that bridge, cutting through?
Yep,
that's hilarious. So that was
yeah.
actually from the Salem Speedway.
Yes, yep, and it's still there.
Yeah.
So when people knew that, we posted pictures, and people were getting on there commenting about, "Oh yeah, I know where that bridge is."
Yeah, everybody. That was our cut through.
Oh yeah, yep.
Before the ball games.
And, like right now, because that's kind of one of the things that Nick did. We have the two older restrooms that are a little by the ticket office until it's two older restrooms are the only buildings left when the racetrack was built. So the ticket office has had a new roof put on it. He totally remodeled both those bathrooms now, so that we can use them. They were just using them as for storage before, but unfortunately, we've got water lines. I guess it's probably been there since the 50s, I guess, but it kept breaking every time we turned it on because it's on a separate meter than what the rest of the racetrack is on. So we're actually Justin Green in the city. It's going to help us with the water project that we're getting ready to start. We're going to bring some new water line in and try to upgrade all our water and stuff. And that's one of the things to get those restrooms, going. That was one of those deals where, do we tear those down? Do we remodel? What do we do with those? And Nick said, well, we got to keep them. It's it's one of the last things that's there. Definitely. So, and people can remember going in those. They'll come up. I remember walking in the bathroom and that kind of stuff. So, it's kind of neat to have that. Still have a touch of the old.
Oh,
along
absolutely.
With the new. So that makes it really neat.
I like that. I like that forethought of saying, let's save it, let's do it. And of course, you can't have too many restrooms, right?
That's right. Especially at an ARCA race.
Well, when you're drinking a lot of water,
yeah,
it works out well, right?
That's right. That's right.
So, going back on the actual, so we had like the midgets starting it off. Mm-hmm. So when did we start getting some other like cars being introduced at the track?
Well, in the 50s, that's when they started going to some stock car stuff. Mostly, and in the 60s is really when the stock car stuff started taking off. The Mark series, which became ARCA. USAC actually used to have a stock car series too. They ran for a while, so those were the two premier stock car series. And then the ASA started after that, the Robbins family, and that started more in the 70s. It kind of took off, and that's when Darrell Waltrip came out from Owensboro and raced here. Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, all those guys, came out to the track and raced stock cars. And so it's a good mix, like I said, the history of open wheel and stock cars. But it's good to have those cars. But things have changed a lot, of course. Like we said, the sprint cars today are totally different than what the sprint cars were back in the 50s, and the late 40s and 50s, and it's they're a whole lot safer, but they're also a whole lot faster than what they used to be. So the records that were set back then, I mean, we have our street stocks are almost as fast as what those guys are running now. So it's pretty amazing the speeds and the difference in times and technology, and of course, and everything else has made the cars faster. So the faster doesn't always mean the racing's better. So that's why we have rules to try to keep stuff in place and try to keep competition. Even with our street stocks, we battled that. I mean, the racers, I call racers are their own worst enemy. because they all want to win races.
Sure.
So some of them, they'll spend whatever they have to spend to win races, but that's not always good because it just raises the price of everything up. So we try to keep the rules and try to keep the competition as level as we can. It's not easy, but it's something that Travis Kearns, our tech director for the street stock, he's been there, gosh, since the 90s, off and on. So he's been there for a long time, and he's a great guy out of Bedford, and he does a good job trying to keep that in my hand and stuff. And that kind of job is not a fun job. I mean,
No.
It's hard to do. I mean, rules is tough. Nick kind of learned that this year. Nick wanted to get more involved with the rules, and I said, I don't know if you really want to do that. But he decided he wanted to, and he's seen that. I mean, it's the same thing with people that like the racetrack or don't like the racetrack. When you change a rule, half the people are going to be yay, other half the people are going to be no. So, I've tried to tell him you can't make everybody happy in this business. You have to make the best decision you can. It's the best for the racetrack. So that's just you have to be able to go lay your head on the pillow and say I made the right decision. So.
Right. Well, I was going to say, yeah, I know a lot of times people either kiss you or kick you. And then I was going to say with Ricky Bobby, did we not learn that if you're not first, you're last, right? So Ricky Bobby taught us that. So going back though on, you're talking about like, when you start talking about some cars, I know like the different models and the different, do the drivers, it's interesting. And I feel like the more we educate, the more we learn about racing, the more interesting it is. It's just like I'm going to go back to like watching a football game. If you know the game and you understand it, it's so much more enjoyable to watch a football game,
Right.
Or a basketball game or soccer, whatever, tennis, whatever, golf, whatever. But on this, I feel like sometimes it's so good to kind of explain some of the things. So when you are talking about like the higher speeds and maybe bringing some of the cars where they're more equal, is that where you would get into driver skill, or is it more of the car doing it, or is it more of the driver? And I guess,
I think the big track is a track that brings out
the driver.
Yeah, because you can have a fast race car, obviously, and that does make a difference. I mean, you can see that in NASCAR, you see that in ARCA. I mean, like the Venturini team in ARCA, I mean, they've always got good cars. I mean, for years, some of the other teams have caught up now. But, if you've got good equipment, you're not guaranteed you're going to win, but it's going to give you a lot better chance to win. But that's one of the differences between asphalt and dirt. Asphalt, the technology comes into play more versus dirt, the drivers more, I guess.
Okay.
That's just the best way to put it. But I mean, it's that's the thing about like the Crown Vics. I said, I mean, there's only so much you can do to the car, and there's still a stock car. I mean, there's really not any real racing parts on that car, so that's what makes that more of a driver's division.
Yeah.
And you can see it. I mean, you can see Ronnie Bashan. He's won 7 races in that division in 2 years, and people are all he's cheating in this, and this, and we've gone over his race car several times, and he's not cheating. He's just out driving it. Yeah. He's got a lot of experience out there at that track, and he's good with those cars. I mean, they're more of a momentum car. You really can't, if you go into the turn and you hit the brakes or slow down too much, it takes you too much long because they weigh so much to get it going again. Mm-hmm. So the fact he's really good at keeping the momentum up and racing hard. But those cars, I mean, you'll see a pack of 10 or 12 cars that are just together. I mean, those guys are all on top of each other, and it makes for really great racing. Versus the street stocks, not so much. I mean, the street stocks are still a stock chassis, but they've got some aftermarket parts on them and stuff. And the guys have they figured some things out. And it used to be that some of our teams, when I was with CRA and our late model guys, we wouldn't get technology down from the NASCAR teams, maybe 5 years after they figured something out. Well, now it doesn't take any time. And guys start figuring stuff out. Oh, we need to do this. You need to change that.
Sure.
That. So that's what's changed a lot. I mean, back, in the 50s and the 60s, they would literally at times take a stock car off a showroom floor, tape the glass, on the front. Wouldn't even take the headlights out. They would tape the glass and take it out and race it. I mean, I've heard several stories, and Bill Kimmel is actually telling me his dad did that several years ago in the stock car. They just, the guy said, well, what do you need to race? And he told him he went and bought, a car off the showroom floor, and they brought it out and raced it. and some of the guys would drive them home.
Oh
The
gosh.
race was over if they were capable. And that was the way it was, But I've seen pictures of NASCAR back when they used to race on the sand, the road, the old Daytona course on the beach, and a lot of those cars. I mean, they looked like guys just drove them in to the track and raced on them. So back then, I think it was a lot easier for people to identify with those type cars because you could tell a Chevy was a Chevy, an Oldsmobile was an Oldsmobile, that type of stuff. And now it's a little bit harder for people to recognize that, especially when it comes to NASCAR and that type of stuff, because they kind of all look the same in some ways.
Right.
But unfortunately, we're kind of, because our Crown Vic division, they're all Crown Vics. I mean, that's just the way they are. The street stock division, most of them are all Monte Carlo bodies. So it's just it's a lot harder to do that than what it used to be. And I think that's taken some of the fans that they just don't. I guess they don't understand what kind of car it is anymore. So that makes it a little bit tougher.
My mom owned a Monte Carlo, and she also owned a Crown Vic. So I wonder if my mom was born, before, she's passed, but I'm wondering if she should have been racing. Maybe she missed her calling on that. I don't know. I don't know. I drove a little bit, but I don't remember going all the speeds that you see out there. But go back to the regulations and everything. It's kind of put a, if you will, which I think it probably need to be reined in a little bit, but there's also, I love that whatever it was creative, like the pit crew. I love the drivers being a little creative. And is that something that we can keep that charm? Or
yeah, I mean that's what they've. I mean you hear a lot of that in NASCAR, that they've taken that away in NASCAR.
Yeah,
because it used to be that those guys, and it's just tough. I mean, that's one of the fine lines. We still got guys that do some things, and we call it the gray area. They play in the gray area. That's what they try to find in the rules, and we just got to be the referee and decide when it's too much and when it's not too much. And unfortunately, rule books have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just because things they find. Tech guy will see this. Well, we got to put that in the rules for next year, and it's just kind of a building process. So, the Crown Vics, like I said, you don't have to have as many rules, so it makes it a little bit better. But then again, you've got to stay on top of it because of technology, and I mean, basically they still run the computer in the car. It runs the car. So that's one of the big things is we have to check the computers when they're done, because they have what they call tuners, and they tune them up. So it's not stock anymore. The way it came off, production line. So that's one of the things that we have to check there, which people don't quite understand that, but they can. That's one way to keep everybody on the same level field, I guess is the way to say it.
So therefore, I mean, not saying that the car's not good, but also I love this is the driver. I think that's what the creativeness and Glenn, you got to give huge respect to this. I talk about this at the Derby too. When you're like you're talking about everybody kind of locked in by each other, somebody on your north, south, east, and west, and you're there. I mean, to find that window to make that move.
Oh yeah.
It's seconds. You got to give.
And that's why I love Daytona and Talladega. A lot of people don't like the drafting and stuff, and it can be boring at times.
Now, explain the drafting. That's where
that's where they're like they all keep in a pack. I mean, at Daytona, Talladega, they're going so fast. I mean, I think it's close to 200 miles an hour. They kind of slowed them down because of that. Bill Elliott went out. I think it turned on 212 or something at Talladega, and that's when they were like, maybe we need to slow down a little bit. But they all stay in a pack, and I mean they'll be 3 wide on that racetrack with just inches in between. And I don't think people don't give them the respect they need to till they see something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, to race all those laps and to be that close and to not make a mistake, because it doesn't take much of a mistake, and the next thing you know, you've got 20 cars piling up. But that's just part of that racing. But that's what makes good racing, is when you've got an opportunity. And a lot of the teams in NASCAR Cup, they know that when they go to Bristol or Charlotte, they're not going to really have a chance to win. Well, everybody has a chance to win at Talladega and Daytona. You just got to be at the right place, the right time, and be able to get to the front. So a lot of it's timing, a lot of it's missing the wrecks and that kind of stuff. So I like those tracks because you just never know who's going to win the race.
I love that. Yeah. Well, you got to give huge, they're athletes. They are.
Oh yeah.
And you got to give huge respect for you think about how many hours or how long they are actually in their vehicles, and keeping their eyes, and not wandering off, not thinking, just completely got to be completely, zoned in,
Well, you can tell the difference driver. I mean, some of the guys that used to race back in the 60s and 70s were big guys because at the time they didn't have power steering in a lot of cars. So, and like you said, they had to be able to muscle the car for that long.
Yeah.
So, but now it's kind of gone the opposite way. Now the drivers are a little smaller, but each NASCAR team they have fitness centers, trainers. I mean, it's just even their pit crews.
Oh wow.
Go through all that. Now they've gotten to where they're recruiting ex-athletes for the pit crews. I mean, there's nothing to see 2 or 3 football players.
Wait, this is great.
Stuff. Yeah,
Oh, that is really fun.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, that's because they figured out that the more athletic the pit crew guy is, the faster he can do stuff. It's all about timing and speed.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would love to. I'm just putting my request in. If anybody needs my service, I would like to wash the window. That's what I figured. I don't want to touch a tire. I'm scared on that. Or I could give a little drink to the driver. I could be that person.
Why the drink would be? They don't wash the windows anymore.
Well, I guess no. I guess they don't. Okay. Yeah, I guess they don't. Do they? No.
They have layers of the film that they peel off now. It makes it a little bit easier.
So no more of the squigglies. That's right. I
used
didn't know
to. They used to have the squeegees.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That long arm.
Oh yeah.
I could do that. I thought, well, that would.
Now they have tear-offs.
Okay, I'll just bring a little drink to which they have to drink little because they've got a long race, but then they have to take care of themselves and stay hydrated.
Yeah, now they all have hydration systems.
Get out.
Yeah.
What's that? What is that?
Yeah. I mean, it's a system that it's actually, I think they use dry ice in a lot of them, and they'll actually have like a little box, and they'll have whatever they're drinking in, and they'll have a tube that runs right up, so they can just grab the tube and just drink out of it now. So a lot of them have what they call cool suits too. They wear like a vest that's got water in it that they keeps going. Same deal, just keep them at temperature. So yeah, it's a lot. It's not the burly guy in the cutoff T-shirt.
Yeah,
dirt all over him.
See, that's Where did he go?
Yeah,
so we're into a new day, aren't we?
It's changed a lot since then.
Yeah, that's funny. That's good to know. So, but I've noticed too that I've got to interview some of the drivers, and I love talking with the drivers. But some of them are really young.
Oh yeah. Well,
and I love this.
I mean, they start now. I mean, they're kids are racing when they're 5 years old.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So it's just they start them out young. I mean, we went through a process when I was at CRA where people were wanting to move up, and we had 12-year-olds racing late models. I mean, which was, ARCA went to 15-year-old. So in order to get experience for ARCA, they had to race somewhere. So we went through we get an approval process, and we had, I think Chase Elliott started with us when he was 13.
Oh wow!
His first race. Jake Garcia, who's now in the trucks, he raced with us when he was 12. We had several of them that we raced. Chandler Smith is another one that used to race some Cup. Now he's in the trucks. He started with us when he was 12 years old. So they start young. I mean, we have, we actually have a young guns division. They run out to Sportster in Crown Vics. It's 11 to 15-year-old, and we're gonna run them twice up here. And we ran them last year at the Halloween race, and we had a kid out that's going to run down there that was testing this week. That's they're trying to get him approved. He's only 10.
Oh.
So, but they haven't got approval to run him yet. But it was hilarious because the guy took the kid out. He was coaching him. He had never been in a race car before. He was in a Crown Vic on our short track. So he's out there, and the dad's out there talking to him. At the end of it, the kid had never done a burnout and wanted to do a burnout. So he's out there coaching him on the radio how to do the burnout. And the kids, the eyes are just big. And then he said, "Can I do a donut?"
Oh my gosh, I love this.
He taught him how to do a big donut. So I said, well, if he never wins a race, at least he knows what to do after he wins the race. He knows how to do the donut and the burnout. So, but it was so, you never really think about that.
No,
at that age. But it's tough. I mean, everybody wants to start them young, and everybody wants their kid to be the next. Used to be the Jeff Gordon. That was the thing. Oh, my kid to be the next Jeff Gordon. And it's unfortunately, you're not going to go very far without money. I mean, you just got to have money now. It's not as much about talent as it used to be. There are exceptions that that get to go up, but it's a shame that there can't be more of that. But it's just money is what makes the world go around. Yeah. So it makes it tough.
Right. Well, I think I love that because you go back to sports, again, or any activity that you do, you have that kind of that program where they start young. So why not? You know what I mean? And learning how to do it. I'm kind of jealous. I was gonna say I would actually like to be the person in the ear of someone I would be encouraging though. I don't want to be the person that tells him he's doing wrong or right. I just want to be the encourager,
The spotter.
the spotter. That I wouldn't mind doing that. But I think going back to all that, I don't think sometimes everybody realizes what all's involved.
Right.
And also, let's talk about this too, and something that I am completely I've witnessed it at Salem Speedway, and I'm so thankful for this. The way the drivers appreciate the younger ones, and how generous they are in sharing their stories, their vehicles, or their whatever they're racing, and that's valuable to them and important to them.
Oh yeah, I mean that's one of our challenges. Is I think it's not only at racing, it's in everything. Is to get the kids out of the phone, out of the iPads, and actually get them involved in stuff. I mean, when I was a kid, I see this a lot. It amazes me. I mean, I could not wait to get my driver's license.
Yeah.
And now there's kids that don't even, they're like,
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, they'll be 18, 19 years old, not have a driver's license. So, to get those kids out there, to get them involved, to get, heroes. I'm going to root for this guy because,
Sure.
he gave me an autograph and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And to get them to keep coming back. I mean, that's who's going to bring the fans to the racetrack is the kid tugging on his dad's sleeve saying, let's go to the races, Dad. Let's go to the races. So that's a huge challenge for us. Anybody in short track racing is to get kids involved. And, we do some things. We do some autograph sessions. We do a trunk or treat on Halloween week, on Friday night. Try to get the kids out there and get them involved. Our June 7th race will be kids. It'll be kids night again. We do 12 and unders free to get in.
Love that.
We'll have some bouncy houses. We have a gentleman out of Owensboro who's pretty awesome. He brings I think he's going to have 3 ride-along vehicles, and we give kids ride-alongs during the races. And we sit there, and some of the fans get a little upset that it's like it took about 45 minutes last year, but to get those kids in a race car and to get them, I mean, he's got an actual 2-seater ARCA car and a 2-seater an old NASCAR truck that he brings out, and he doesn't charge us anything. He just loves to do it, loves to see the kids, and we'll have them out there again on June 7th. And to get kids, you see them, you get out in that face when they get out of the vehicle. Oh yeah, that sells it right there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, and what a beautiful opportunity for our community to have this right here.
Sure.
And how generous he is, because we know that again, his car, his wear and tear, and his gasoline. That's pretty cool that he's.
Yeah, he loves it. I mean, he loves to come out and do that. So
I love that, and I love getting the kids involved, which is part of it. And then also we know that getting the ladies involved too, getting them to not only maybe drive the cars, but also to learn about it and to know what they're watching has been a big.
Oh yeah, I think
change.
there was 5 female drivers in the ARCA race this year at Daytona.
That's awesome.
So there's a lot of them that are out there that are getting in the vehicles and driving. We don't have a whole lot, but we do have some girls. We have had girls that have raced in the Crown Vics especially.
Yeah.
So I mean, anytime that you can get that, I mean I think that draws a different fan base. And that's what NASCAR has tried to cultivate that.
Yeah, they definitely have.
Of course, they do a good job of that. I mean, they've got Daniel Suarez from Mexico now racing, and they've tried to incorporate, trying to build that fan base. And you got to do that. You got to get because the traditional fan base is gone, or a lot lower than what we used to have. So you've got to expand that fan base and try to get more people out that way. So.
Well, and it's much more enjoyable, again, like when you know what you're watching and what's going on and kind of more the rules. Are there any big rules that have changed or anything we need to know about for this season?
No.
Okay.
Nothing that's really big. I mean, most of our stuff, just kind of trying to keep. We did some stuff with the street stocks just to try to keep all the cars, competitive. That's about the only thing. I don't think we changed, but maybe 1 or 2 rules in the Crown Vics are just not much to train. The Legends rules all come out of INEX. They're sanctioned throughout the United States, out of Charlotte, so that their rule book's pretty basic. But it's nice because it keeps it level. There's the guys can race for INEX points. So a guy in Indianapolis or a guy in Cincinnati or Nashville wants I need another INEX race, and they'll come up and race. So it's kind of a neat deal that they do with those things. So.
And what they're racing for, they're going to get points. Get points, so many points at the races, right?
And we crown champ. We have 5 divisions we run for championship, and we'll have 5 champions again this year. So, we do that. We'll do awards back at the end of the year, and that's always a neat time.
Yeah, definitely.
So, some guys run for championships, some guys just run big races. So everybody's got a little bit different agenda. when they come to the racetrack. So you just got to keep all those people happy.
It seems like to me, what I love about race car drivers, it seems like, they get these big trophies, which, not saying, but a lot of them don't even, they'll give them away even.
Mhm.
And just, it's the inner of knowing that you won.
Oh yeah, we don't.
It's that personal goals, don't you
Racers
feel?
don't. Yeah, racers. I mean, I won't say they don't race for money, but it's all about the trophy. I mean, it's all about.
Yeah, about the bragging rights.
Oh yeah.
They know their truth.
Yep.
Don't
Oh
they?
yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
I mean, we do some big money races. I mean, our street stock race, the Halloween 200 is probably one of the highest paying. It's about, I think almost $10,000 for a street stock race.
Oh.
So I mean, that's a lot of money.
It is, yeah.
But I mean, it's more about just being a Halloween 200 winner than it
Yeah.
is anything. I mean, that's because that's what those guys want. So
Yeah.
It's all about that. I mean, there is, and I've told Nick this because he wants, let's do this, let's do that. I said it's not always money. It's some of it's just being part of a certain event, just being there, and sometimes it's just people just like the track and want to come to the track too. So it's not always about money, but it is the special events where you get, like I said, the Halloween 200. That's just something that people want. That I mean,
yeah.
I want to be a Halloween 200 winner.
Well, sure, it's the glory. I would want, Glenn, if I ever win that. I would like the money, but I've got shoes to buy. But I also would want a T-shirt that I won. I would want to sing it loud for everybody to hear.
Well, that's funny because that's we sell a Halloween 200 T-shirt every year, and it's got the winners.
Yeah,
and that shirt sells out.
Oh,
and we sell a ton of them because everybody wants their name on.
Oh,
on that T-shirt.
I would love that, and I would take a red marker and underline my name there. Or a star mark there. Did anybody see that? Yeah, I don't.
Unfortunately, my name's not on. I actually owned the car that won the Halloween 200. Chuck Barnes Jr. drove for me and won that race, but his name's on there, not mine. So.
Oh, you didn't have like parentheses, Glenn Luckett?
No, I guess I could have done that. But no,
yeah, you need to add that to it. Yeah, there you go. Well, that's cool. I'm all about that. I love that. So, let's go back over our season. So, we were supposed to have it this weekend.
Correct.
Which we know with the flooding, but well played on that because nobody's got. It's too much.
No, we have to try to explain it to people. So we don't have asphalt parking.
Right.
We park in the grass.
Yeah.
And that track,
which makes it very good.
Oh,
very
yeah.
It's family friendly. It's fun. Yeah.
But so we moved that to next weekend. We'll do open practice on Saturday from 2 to 5, and the grandstands will be free if anybody wants to come out and just watch the practice. We'll race on Sunday, 2 o'clock. That's always our Sunday afternoon start time. We'll have Gas Series, our Salem supercars, the Crown Vics on the big track, short track, and we'll have our scrapper division, which is basically you just take the glass and stuff out of a car and you come racing. You have to have a helmet and strap in and go. So it's a growing division. It's a cheap, somebody can come out and have a race. So then we'll come back and we'll do our Derby Hangover Dual 75s on Sunday, May 4th. Then we switch to Saturday nights and we'll do our kids night on June 7th. Then we'll have we're doing 2 drifting shows this year. A group out of Indianapolis called Elevated Concepts is coming in and doing 2 of them. The first one will be on June 14th and 15th. The second one will be in November. But we have modifieds. We're doing 2 modified races. We had a modified division come in last year and it went really well. So we're going to do 2 of our own modified shows this year. The first one will be on June 21st. We have our big Firecracker 200 weekend on July 4th and 5th. That's always a big weekend. Everybody loves to come out for that weekend and stuff. And we'll have a huge fireworks show on the 5th that we do. We moved the Joe James race from September to July. It'll be Saturday, July 12th. We'll have the 500 Sprint Car Tour. We'll have the Kenya Midgets on the short track and Legends. And we'll also have the Midwest Vintage Race Car Club. A lot of people like to come out and see the old cars. And we actually let them take laps in their cars.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then we're bringing back USAC. USAC hasn't been there for a while, so we're bringing back the USAC Silver Crown cars, which are, USACs and Salem go together a long time. A lot of races from USAC have been raced there. That'll be on August 9th. And then we did something different. We're not having the semis this year. We decided we were going to try something different. We're doing monster trucks.
Oh.
Yeah. On Saturday, August 23rd, we're going to do monster truck figure 8 on the short track.
Love that.
Yeah, they used to do it at Louisville Speedway back when Louisville was
I actually saw that. I've been there and saw that.
Yep.
Yes.
So we're going to bring that back. A group out of up in central Indiana is coming down. Going to have monster trucks there. We're also going to race that night too on the big track. So the goal is to get some people in that haven't been to Salem to watch the monster trucks and hopefully they see a race on the big track and they like it and they want to come back. So that's kind of a neat show. We're really looking forward to it. We're going to have Bigfoot will be there. It's his 50th anniversary.
Love that.
So we'll have him there. The ARCA race is September 20th. Then we'll have our Fall Brawl on September 27th. And then we have the Halloween 200 weekend, October 18th and 19th. And then we're actually going to do a race after the Halloween race for the first time since we've been there. On Sunday, September 2nd, we're going to do King of the Scrappers. We're going to have a huge scrapper race. We decided that we want to do a signature race for those guys. They just kind of, they're like the bottom class that we run, but we're gonna elevate those guys up and have a King of the Scrappers race on November 2nd. So we're going from 10 events to 12 events this year. So we're 2 more opportunities for people to come out and see some racing.
Glenn Luckett, you've got it completely covered. I tell you right now, let's go racing, right? Drive it like you stole it, and definitely 'tis the season. Excited about it. So again, the Salem Speedway. If they want more information, they can. How do they get tickets? I guess at the door. Can you buy tickets at the door?
Yep. www.salemspeedway.com. You can buy them in advance, or you can always buy them right at the door. We have general admission tickets. We also do chairback tickets, and we'll also reserve people. If they have a certain place they want to sit, you call in and talk to Christy, and she'll set you up, and then we'll have your reserved seat for you. Kids, the normal races from 6 to 12 is $5. 5 and under is free, except for kids' night on June 7th. 12 and under is free.
Love that. Yeah. Very good. Well, keep up the great work. I'm very proud of you, and I love working with Salem Speedway. You guys are fantastic, and hats off to everyone that's involved on that. So we're going to thank our sponsors: Meadowview Healthcare Center, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Americans for Prosperity, Mama Rose's Restaurant, Fox Curley Wealth Management, Dr. Mindy Gunn, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Marshall Monuments, McAllister Land Consulting, First Harrison Bank, Louisville Bats, and the Sneck Medical Hospital. Thank you to all of our great sponsors. Glenn Luckett, thank you for all you do. Keep up the great work at Salem Speedway.
Thank you for having me on.